Hey everybody, this is Vicki Ronchette with Show Dog Prep School. Welcome. I'm very excited to have another Breeder of Influence interview. Today I'm going to be talking to Amy Issleib, said that right?
Did.
Issleib of Temerity German Pinschers. I want to let people know you can feel free to ask questions and we will kind of be able to answer as we go. And real quick, I'm going to go ahead and share this so that people who want to watch can jump on. Okay, Amy, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for this opportunity. I truly appreciate it.
I'm super excited. This was, you were recommended by Lynn, of course, who has a couple of dogs from you. And I have always, liked Lynn's dog since I've been working, but I'm really a sucker for a boy dog. So I'm kind of head over heels over Cinch. I think everybody is. I mean, he's really cool. So I'm super excited to get to talk to you. And the first question is always, I will tell people how we met. And that's how we met, through Lynn. Lynn set this up because, this is her breed. And people really like these breeder of influence interviews. And I do too, because it gives people an opportunity to learn about other breeds and to ask questions, burning questions they might have about a certain breed. So tell me about Temerity German Pinschers. Who is Temerity? Is it just you? Is it a family? Do you have partners?
Temerity German Pinschers came about in 2007. We got our first German Pinscher, my husband and I, and we had 3 children living at home at the time. And our daughter um, had a vocabulary list for To Kill a Mockingbird, and one of the words was temerity. And so instead of using Ampins, which I'd used in miniature pinchers and Dobermans, the family decided that we were going to use temerity German pinchers. And that's how we founded it in 2007.
So 2007, they weren't an AKC breed at the time, or were they?
2003.
Okay, so
2003.
2003. Okay.
Yes.
So all right, why German Pinschers? Now you mentioned Min Pins now, and I think you mentioned Dobermans. So
Right.
that they fit right in there, right? With that kind of, and that's sort of the perfect size, the in-between size. So tell me about this breed and why you love it, why you went there, because it sounds like you had other breeds first.
Right. No, I started in Dobermans back in 81, and I started in miniature pinchers in 84. And in about 89 or 90 is when I saw my first German pinscher, and the quality was not very good at that time. The temperaments weren't very good. The dog had a bad bite, and it was offered to me. And I was going to about 100 shows a year, AKC, and there was no way at that time that I was going to get involved with a rare breed, miscellaneous breed, UKC, whatever
Yeah.
dog with all the showing I was doing at AKC. So I passed on the dog, but I always had an interest in the breed after that because they are the original pinscher, being an ancestor of both the Doberman and the miniature pinscher. So
Wow.
we ended up in 2006 stepping away from dogs for a little bit to raise our 3 kids. And in 2005, we started showing miniature pinschers again for a friend of ours. And at my very first show, I ran into a friend that I'd known from before, and she told me she had something she wanted to show me at her motorhome, and it was German Pinscher puppies. So I
Wow.
saw that they'd become a long way quality wise and temperament wise. They were better. And I really wanted one. It took us 2 more years before I could convince my husband we really needed to show our own dogs. And with that, the rest is shall they say history. We've had German pinchers since 2007 and exclusively since 2008.
So when you first met the breed, they were in the miscellaneous.
They were rare breed back then. They weren't even miscellaneous.
Okay, so they weren't just in the AK in the working group.
Right.
So if you wanted to show them, it was going to be a big to do, and there probably wasn't any competition, and it was just a whole big deal, right?
They weren't AKC, so you couldn't even show them an AKC at that
Okay.
point.
Okay. And so That's pretty cool though. I mean, because do you feel like, I mean, obviously they're a working breed, Dobermans are a working breed, Min Pins, but do you feel like those breeds all go well together? Like in terms of, was that a nice jump for you to go from Min Pins and Dobermans to German Pinschers? It must be good. I mean, you stayed there, right? And left the
Well,
other ones.
see, the Dobermans have a great intelligence. They have a really quick learners. They have a bit of a sense of humor, a lot of them, and they've got personality. But they're more of a working dog, and they definitely have more of a work ethic. And they can be housebroken and miniature pinchers. I don't care. I tell my friends, if you say your min pin's housebroke, you just haven't found the spot. Toy dogs are notorious for things like that. And Min Pins had a lot of personality. They were true characters. They had a lot of animation and they were a lot of fun. And what I have found with the German Pinscher is they are the best combination of a Doberman and a Min Pin in the way their personalities are. They have a sense of humor. They're very smart. You can housebreak them. They learn quickly and they have a lot of fun. Sometimes it's at your displeasure when they do something that they think is hilarious that they know is wrong, but they'll usually give you a big old grin and say, wasn't that funny when I did that ad? And they think it's really fun. So, that's all right. And that's one of the things that endears me to the breed. Not a day goes by that they don't make me laugh or just, chuckle over something they're doing. I mean, they're just a fun breed. They're better than TV most of the time.
Are they a biddable breed? Like they must be. Like Lynn does a lot with her dogs. Like they like doing stuff. They're good for like all different dog sports and stuff like that.
Many of them can be, and they can be very good at a multitude of sports. We've got dogs that do, agility, dock diving, search and rescue, barn hunt, NASDA, rally, obedience. I mean, they can do it all. They really can.
How are they to live with? Are they like uh easygoing? I mean,
They can
good
be.
to
They
live.
can be very calm. They can be very sweet. They can be couch potatoes. You can also get dogs that have a little more energy and are busy and need a job.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on the individual. And we can have the same, we can have both types in the same litter. But
Yeah.
there are some lines within our line that have more. Oh, they're more willing to please and they're more willing to do what you want versus the ones that are more independent and do what they want, which most German pinchers have a bit of an independent and maybe even a little bit of a stubborn streak, but there are some that can be quite compliant. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like I said, even within my own line, I've got some that produce more that are compliant, more that are independent.
And they're a cropped and docked breed.
They can be, yes.
Okay, so but do they have to be shown? Like, can you
No,
show them so they can? And what is their like? Do they have floppy ears like a Doberman if they're not?
yes.
Okay.
The the standard breeds that they fold and
Okay.
they're a V-shaped ear with a pleat in them that folds down. They
Mm-hmm.
also say that they can stand erect. Now,
Oh,
there's no
okay.
in between, so you can't have a collie ear.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't have rose ears. So they're very specific on what the ears can do, but they can be cropped or uncropped. And there's two variations for uncropped. And they can be docked or undocked.
Okay. Because Cinch is right, but he's imported,
Yes, because we did
right?
his tailing class in his ears when he came into the country.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So, Amy, did you grow up in a breeding showing family, or is like this something that you started and began, as an adult, or?
Well, when I was 16, I got my first Doberman. My mom
Okay.
was a cat person. She was afraid of dogs. And so at 16, I was able to get a dog. And that's what started me down the road of Dobermans and just pinchers overall. I love the
Mm-hmm.
clean outline of a pincher. I love, the top line and the angulation and the neck and the smooth and the nice wedged head. And, all three breeds are similar, but they have their nuances.
Yeah.
And but the similarity they have is the clean outline and just the look of a pinscher. And that's, one thing I'm very attached to.
So tell me about breeding German Pinschers. Are they hardy? Are they difficult? Is there any weird, things about them when it comes to breeding?
We've been blessed. I mean, of the litters we've had, we breed 1 or 2 litters a year. We don't breed a whole lot of dogs, but we're very blessed with the homes we have that we get them into. But with our litters overall, we've had, a couple of singletons over the years. I think 3 singletons over the year. But we've also had litters ranging from anywhere to 6 to well, we had 16 born, but we were only able to raise 10 of them. So our girls
Wow.
are very easy whelpers, and they're obviously they have a lot of egg production. So we have very nice litters and a lot to choose from.
What is the weight of an adult German Pinscher?
They're approximately 30 to 40 or 45 pounds, depending on the dog. Anything over that is probably going to be oversized, and they're above 20 inches. And anything under that is probably going to be closer to the 17-inch range, and the standard is 17 to 20. So that's what we shoot for. That's our goal.
But for a lot of people, like that's like the perfect size dog.
Okay.
Like it's dreamy. It's like perfect size, no hair. You know what I mean? Like it could be very appealing.
Oh, you can get several on a couch or several in your bed. It's really convenient to have a dog that size. They can still curl up in your lap and get comfortable, which is nice.
Do they get along with each other and other
Generally,
dogs?
generally
Yeah.
speaking, we do. There are some that have a sharper temperament, but overall, we've been very blessed with non-alpha dogs that are just kind of hanging out with each other and could really care less who's the boss. They just really want to just be friends. And so
Nice.
we're non-confrontational most of the time. Our breeding is, so you don't have issues with not being able to have multiple dogs together at any given time.
Nice. Tell me about your foundation animals.
Well, I was blessed with opportunities to work with other breeders. And so our very first litter was a lease that we did of a champion female so that we could have our first litter of German Pinschers in 2008. After that, because we had a bitch that I got at first, and I really didn't care for a lot about her. And she's one that produced one of our singletons, and we didn't care to carry forward with that. I think it's very important. Just because a dog's a champion doesn't mean it has to be bred.
Right.
And so we're very selective over what we choose to breed. We finish a lot of dogs that never be anything but someone's great pet, and that's fine with me. Because you finish them young and you want them to mature. So I was blessed with other opportunities with another breeder, Lynn Stubbe of Navarre Kennels. She was the first breeder of Merit Gold, and she had some very nice imports that she had brought into the country, basically for health, sound movement, good top lines, and good temperaments. And we were able to work with her and lease one of her girls, and then co-own a girl with her. And we've been very fortunate to have her help us be a foundation for the line we wanted. We also have bought from other breeders over the years, and worked those dogs in too. Um, One of the first girls we got from her had 8 champions. She was the sister to our specialist dog that won the national and a group in 2010, owner handled, which was
Wow.
fun. And he was a really fun show dog, and his sister produced some pretty good show dogs too, 8 champions. But then we went on to co-own another one with her that is a Hall of Fame producer. Her mother was a Hall of Fame producer, and her granddaughter is also. And then we bought one that we made a Hall of Fame producer. So we've been very fortunate to be able to bring some dogs into our line that we didn't, necessarily breed, but we're able to use to develop our line. And to this day, anything that comes down from the Navarre dogs. Lynn has unfortunately been in poor health since 2015. So every Navarre litter born since 2015 has been born here.
Mm-hmm.
So if it comes down from her lines, we still call them Navarre, and then my Temerity goes at the end. And then the ones that were out of our foundation, one of our foundation bitches that we bought, carries the Temerity Kennel Club, kennel name first on their names.
That's awesome. I mean, that's a nice, long-lasting relationship, right?
She's a great lady, and we owe everything to her. I mean, like I said, she spent so much time and effort trying to better this breed. And if I'm able to bring the dogs forward and keep her name alive for people, it's nice. It really, I feel it.
That's great. That's really, I love hearing that because, we hear a lot about fractured relationships and, things that go bad or people that fall out of, you know,
Mhm.
friendships. So hearing that it's like she's still able to do breedings because you're helping her is like amazing. And the fact that, like you had dogs starting from there, that's so awesome.
Thank you.
Do you have a breeding formula?
Um, I don't consider it a formula. My idea of deciding who's going to be bred to who is a situation where you look at the overall structure and the movement and determine what will you get out of that breeding? What do you want from that breeding? What do you feel that breeding could potentially produce for you? And that is really where I want to start, because all of our dogs are OFA chick. All of our dogs have hearts that are echoed. We've done echoes on hearts since 2009 to prove there's no hereditary defects to our hearts.
Yeah.
We do hips and eyes. We started doing DM in 2018. It was off the charts in GPs, and we brought it to the forefront. And a lot of breeders are now testing for DM. We never bred a VWD carrier. We didn't breed DM carriers, and now they're coming up with a GSD that is something some of the European dogs have, and we're breeding for that. I mean, testing for that also, and making sure that we're not going to breed anything with that either. We've not had unhealthy puppies, but you know, we want to make sure that we continue to have healthy puppies. So, you know, all the health aspects when we do a breeding are already taken into consideration. So we're looking at structure and what we could potentially produce. And then from there, we're wondering how the temperaments are going to play out. Are we going to have, dogs that are compliant, dogs that are going to get along with everybody and be, like I said, more of a, a non-alpha, non-aggressive type dog, and be an actual member of a family. Because when you have a litter of puppies, like I said, we have litters of 10 and 11 constantly. Um, they're not all going to go to the ring. So
Right.
you've got to make sure that you've got a dog that can go into a home with a family and be a valuable member of the family, one that can get along with kids, one that can get along with babies, one that can get along with cats or birds or rabbits or
And live in
anything.
the world and just walk down the street and not, like not be a mess. Yeah.
So important, and temperament is so important. And I feel like there's still a lot of breeders out there that feel like this breed should be feral and should be sharp, and it's okay because that's just the way they are. And that's not how we look at it. A dog's got to
Yeah.
be able to live with a family. And so it's very important to us that our dogs can be valuable family members, as well as dogs that are fun in the ring, doing all kinds of sports, including conformation.
Yeah. So you're not really like, would you say you make it a point of doing line breedings often? Do you mostly outcross? Because in dachshunds, I learned to, line breeding. Like that's how we did it. And then I went I didn't go out of dachshunds, but I just added a rare breed for a while. I still have them, but I don't breed them anymore. But that was Louched, and it was very different. It's like, because they're so much more rare. They're so much closer related, the few that we had in the country, that it was like it was different. So we weren't doing the line breedings that we would do in dachshunds. But would you consider a German Pinscher a rare breed? I mean,
They're a
They
low
think,
entry breed. I wouldn't say
yeah,
they're a rare breed. They're a low entry breed. And honestly, as far as lion breeding goes, I go back to Dobermans and Min Pins, and we did a ton of lion breeding in them. But when you lion breed in this breed particularly, you have to take into consideration the temperaments. Because if you double up on a bad temperament, you're going to get nothing but bad temperaments. You have to make sure that you've got really sweet, compliant dogs to be able to line breed on a dog and have puppies that are worth placing in homes and worth having. I mean, I want a couch potato at my house. I want a
right,
dog that's
right.
going to lay around and just hang out with me and have fun. And so we're very careful when we do line breedings. And I have done half brother, half sister breedings, but they've been on dogs with sound temperaments. The mothers have been out crosses to each other, and I don't have an issue with doing that at all. Now, I also have been blessed with a tremendous amount of frozen semen from dogs going back over 20 years that
Wow.
produced well back then. So I've got a litter that we had a couple of years ago by a dog that had passed away back in 2000 and I think 11 at the age of 14. And so it was nice to bring him back into our pedigree a little further forward. He was a great moving dog with great angulation, nice bone and substance, and just a really good show dog. And so it was nice to bring him forward. We're planning on breeding one of his daughters to a dog that came into the country in 2009, and he lived to be 14 and a half. And he produced amazing top lines and angulation and great temperaments, very sweet but outgoing, and just loves. And so we're going to be breeding those two together because of the movement that they'll have, because the top lines they'll have, and the character they'll have. And we're really looking forward to that. And we've got some other frozen semen that we're going to be using because I think it's very important to diversify within a line. Our
Yeah.
line, basically, with the frozen semen we have and the dogs that we currently have for breeding, um, I don't have to go anywhere else. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not happy with a lot of what's out there for one reason or another. And I'm much happier with the results that we've been getting and the results that I'm able to get by using the select outside frozen semen dogs that we've used over the years and will use.
I want to talk about a little bit about what you said because I think this is really important that you're saying specifically this breed, like you have to watch the temperament thing, that those temperaments are back there. So people need to know how valuable breeders like you and then your friend who you've been whelping the litters for, who actually know those dogs from those years. You've been in the breed long enough that you can look at a pedigree and go, maybe even you had your hands on him. I know
Yeah,
this dog was like that dog was like that. I mean, that's not what you're going to get in books or looking at pedigrees. Like, we have to talk to breeders who know this stuff
right. It's
because
true.
I mean, otherwise, like, and people aren't going to know. They're just going to be like, wow, he's gorgeous, look at this picture, but he could have been mean as a snake. And it's like you can't see that from a picture. So it's like, do you feel like people come to you for that and to talk about that, and are you open if people do?
Oh, very much so. I'm blatantly honest about pretty much everything. I can't imagine something I wouldn't be just blunt with because, life's too short not to tell people the truth and not help them to understand what's good and what's perceived is not so good. And
Yeah.
it's very important to me. And I mean, we've talked about Lynn Mullen a couple of times, and the male that she has came from the female. His mother came from us and went to Germany to a breeder because she wanted to get a foundation bitch that was built on health and temperament with good structure and movement. And so she flew from Germany to come here, and we went through the litter and discussed it. And she ended up taking Rosie home, and Rosie is Cincha's mother. Now, the beautiful thing about having somebody in Europe is that I can send her a picture of a dog and say, hey, what do you know about this dog? And she'd go, ooh, that dog's got a bad temperament. You don't want to get
Uh-huh.
near him. Or, oh, the health testing is really sketchy on that dog. You probably don't want to even get involved in that. And things like that, because she's been around those dogs in that country. And on the
Right.
other hand, she'll contact me and go, well, what about this dog? And I'll say, well, blah, 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 and she'll go, okay, thanks. So
Yeah.
we share back and forth, but also, like I said, I've got a lot of history also in the dogs that we have or have access to, and I'm really thrilled with the opportunities that come to us because of that.
I want you to, I don't know if you could see it, but there's some really lovely comments coming through.
Oh,
And if you can't see them, Courtney Hanson said this is how she ended up with three of your girls. And then let's see, Janice said, well said. Amy prioritizes and produces safe, incredible temperaments. You do not see that in many other prevalent lines. So people are who, are certainly appreciating the work you're doing. So that's great. But I mean, when people tell me like that they've been in a breed for a long time, I feel like I want, I want to encourage people to like, know that you're safe to come and ask. Maybe even if
yeah,
they don't have a dog from you, but if you're just someone's like, look, I want to get started. It's really amazing to have someone that has all that information because, it, like I said, it's not going to be in books. It's not going to be on the pedigree,
right.
that the dog was a jerk or something.
No,
So
it
tell
won't
me,
be right.
right. Maybe it should be. So tell me who are some of your favorite, temerity dogs?
um, you know, I would have to go back. The dog I mentioned that won the national specialty. Obviously, he was not a temerity dog. He was a Navarre, but he was. We got him in 2007, and he was a very strong character, very arrogant dog without being aggressive. And he was just so full of himself all the time, and such a fun show dog. That's the kind of dog that you compare all of the dogs to, as far as being a show dog.
Mm-hmm.
And we were blessed to have his basically his nephew, and his name was Banner. That was his call name. His registered name was Navarre's all-avenging hero, Vidi Wolken. And he was a lot of fun. He was sired by our dog, Thumper, who is grand champion Navarre's Yes I Can Temerity. But Banner had that same charismatic showmanship, and he just begged for every win, and he had a lot of fun. In 13 weekends, he got his bronze grand champion and was in the top 5 and invited to Westminster.
Wow.
He was a fun dog. I love showing him. He got multiple group placements in that time, and it was just a blast as an owner breeder, as an owner breeder handler, getting to play with, play in the ring with a dog like that. We also had a dog from an earlier litter. It was Navarre's Stop and Stare at Temerity. He was a grand champion. I think he was a silver, and he was a fun dog. We called him Teddy, and he had beautiful angulation front and rear. He was dead sound, coming and going. He was single track. He had nice reach and drive. He held his top line perfect all the time, no matter what. And that's very hard to get in a square dog with angulation. And he was really kind of the exception to the rule in a lot of that, and a neat dog. And then I just, last few years, I showed a girl named Champion of, she's a grand champion silver. Um, Navarre's, um, it's funny how that goes. Her name was Don't Go Away Mad,
Uh-huh.
Temerity, and we called her Maddie. And
Uh-huh.
she was a lot of fun, lots of angles, squarish, and just a sweet and loving girl. And she is hopefully at this point in time about 3.5 weeks pregnant, but we'll see.
Oh, that's
So
exciting.
we're excited. She's bred to the male that was sired by the 20 some odd year semen. So we're looking forward to bringing some of the old back in, as well as his mother's side goes back to our line. She's a temerity, so it's a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to that litter. But it's fun to see the dogs that get out there and have a good time. Thumper, who is he's a grand champion. He's the Yes I Can Temerity dog. He's got a great temperament. He's got a great top line. He's got a beautiful neck, and he's just as elegant as can be at the age of 10 as he was at 18 months and he finished. He's
Wow.
just a very stylish dog. And when I was showing him, I had so many judges tell me he had such an incredible outline. Just a fun dog. He's good on the bed. He curls up on his own pillow and leaves me alone. And he'll sleep until 10, even if I'm not home. You know? But he's one of the dogs we've lion bred on because he has such a great temperament and he's got such so much to offer. Beautiful reach and drive, single tracks every step of the way, and carries his top line as hard as a rock while he does it. And just an incredible dog, he really is.
What is the breed bred for?
They're vermin hunters and
Okay.
overall farm dogs. So
Okay.
basically, they're guardians over the farm. They're going to make sure
Uh-huh.
that nothing is there that shouldn't be there. Basically, they can do a effortless trot all day long as they check fence lines and check buildings and so on. And you'll see it. I mean, even to this day, it's inherent in some of them. You'll let them out the yard, and the first thing they do is hit the fence and go all the way around the yard before they'll do anything else.
Uh-huh. Do a
They'll
little
come in the
perimeter
house and say,
check.
you can't ask for a better guardian. But they're great vermin hunters, and that's why they excel at barn hunt and NASDA,
Uh-huh.
because they want to kill the rat. They want to get them. And
Yeah.
we live out in the middle of nowhere. We had 20 acres. We're down to 10 now. But our dogs love to go out mousing and rabbit killing and bird killing and whatever they can catch. They're
But
really
they
good.
don't sound terrier-like in terms of living with them, or
The
are
breed was
they?
more terrier-like before.
Uh-huh.
Um, I kid that I have the golden retrievers of German Pinschers because
Uh-huh.
ours are really um, quite calm and sweet most of the time.
And it sounds like that's not an accident. I mean, you're breeding for temperament.
Intentional, yes,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
intentional, because I want to be able to live with them. I have to
Right.
live with them first, and then other people have to live with them after I place them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's important to be able to send a puppy home with a family and say this puppy's going to be good with your kids and your cat. And they
Yeah.
are,
Yeah.
they are. And you never hear bad reports otherwise. I mean, and even adults that have never been around a cat, I place them and they go and live with cats all the time. I mean, it's just if they understand that that's the family, then that's the family and that's the way it is.
Yeah.
They'll still chase stuff outside if they're in the yard. If something runs, they're going to chase it, but
Yeah.
they know who their family is. I've got one of our dogs lives with a bird. And I mean, he's like a little, I think he's a parakeet, but I might be wrong. But he hangs out and rides on his back around the house. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Because it's his bird.
it's his bird. So,
It's like the family bird. Yeah.
that's right.
Do you tell me who's some of your favorite dogs outside of your kennel?
I would say that, outside my own breeding program, obviously there were a lot of the Navarre dogs I was attached to because of the fact that I appreciated the quality of them.
Yeah.
Linda Kulkar is not as active in our breed as she used to be. But when I got into German Pinschers in 2007, she was quite active in our breed at the time. And she had done a lion breeding on Pate, who was champion Latane's Baron. And that's the dog that Lynn Stubbe ended up buying at the age of 9 and bringing to the United States. And
Wow.
Linda Kukar had some amazing success with Latane Baron's son that she had bought. He was from Klefel in Finland, and his name was Klefel's Jaguar. And I think he won multiple national specialties and multiple group placements back in maybe 3, 4, and 5, or 4, 5, and 6, 2004, 5, and 6. And then his two sons, Snapdragon, it was Dabney Snapdragon and Dabney Sweet William, did quite a bit of winning. And again, Snapdragon was winning a national specialty at the age of 9, I think.
Wow.
Multiple group placements, and just a beautiful dog that had a gorgeous top line, wonderful angulation front and rear, a nice arch to his neck, and a nice deep oval chest that our standard calls for. And it was just so pleasurable to see that dog in the ring. And I fortunately got to compete with him, I think, at three different national specialties, four different national specialties. It was nice to be in the ring with him every time because I enjoyed watching the dog.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's nice to have dogs like that that have the overall look of what this breed should be. And it was something that I saw the dog back in 2008 for the first time, and ever since then I'm like, I want to make all mine look like that someday.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. It's nice to have that blueprint in your head, then you kind
Yeah.
of have something you're striving for.
But and that's what we're working for. I mean, we do get it. You just don't get it with every litter and every puppy, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Or it's not in this breed yet, but we're working on it. I would
Is there
love
a
one
lot of
day.
variation in the breed? Like, do you see it like a huge variation in type and style?
Yes, there's a tremendous amount of differential in type and style. And any given show, you'll see a variety of dogs. And I do judges education. And one of the things I stress is sometimes the one that stands out in the ring as being different than all the others may be the most correct.
Mm-hmm.
Not always, but sometimes it can be because, there's just, there's so many different types out there of dogs. And I'm not going to say there's that many types of German Pinscher because as a whole, a Pinscher is a Pinscher, and we should have an understanding of the balanced angulation front and rear, an oval chest, a hard top line, and some elegance with substance, which is what our breed is supposed to be. And that's the type that we should have. But you're going to see a lot of different types of dogs in the ring that don't necessarily all match up to that standard. And they all do in some ways of the standard, but they don't all hit all of the marquees of what makes a true pincher. And
Yeah.
so this breed, when I do education, I tell judges it's a work in progress. We're not there yet. We're trying hard to get there, but we're not
Yeah.
there yet.
Yeah. Last question. Anything else you want to share about your kennel or your breed or yourself, these dogs?
We've been so blessed with so many amazing homes for our dogs. And I have to say, I've been a conformation person since 1983. That's what I do. The only titles I've ever put on my dogs are conformation. But as I stated, we've got some amazing individuals out there. Since 2007, with one or two litters a year, we've managed to produce over 85 titled German Pinschers. And
Wow.
the titles, like I said, they vary in all aspects of performance and companion dog training abilities as well as conformation. And it's just such a blessing to see people do stuff with our dogs that is different than what we do with them as well as
Yeah.
what we do, because
Yeah.
obviously we didn't finish all those champions, but there's a lot of other titleists, and people having fun doing fast cat and agility and all kinds of stuff, dock diving, and titles here, titles there. I mean, so fortunate that the people that do sports, they do more than one sport, and they get titles in all of those sports. And so on any given weekend, we'll have two or three new title dogs.
It's amazing.
Um, if they may have had titles other than that, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
85 temerity bred dogs, some of them get multiple titles. And so therefore, one dog has like 6 or 8 titles or more,
Yeah.
and so it's just fun because I'll get a message, oh, hey, guess who finished their OHA this weekend? Or,
Yeah.
hey, guess who got a DCAT this weekend? Or, and it's just a lot of fun to get, the messages from people that, love their dogs as much as you love them, and they're having fun doing other stuff with them. And it's great to show that our breed is so versatile and
Yeah.
that they can do all those things. For me, since I don't do any of those things,
Yeah.
I've been conformation, owner, breeder, handler since I started, way back in the 80s. So, it's just a lot of fun to see people have other joys with their dogs, not just conformation.
And it gets people to know your breed. More of them out there means more people could get interested and learn about them because they're still, I think, kind of a a secret in the dog world. I don't think everybody knows who they are, you know?
I agree that if
Yeah.
they're definitely something that if you are interested in having a lot of fun with your dog and you want a medium-sized dog, I would strongly suggest looking into getting a German Pinscher because they are a fun breed that love to make you laugh. They love to do things with you and be with you, but they can also be independent and do things on their own too. They're
Yeah.
very good learners, but the most fun is the grins that, they'll do something wrong and they'll grin, or they'll just grin because they're happy to see you. And they'll show
Yeah.
you every tooth in their head and just grin and wag their
Yeah.
tails. And they're just so cute, they're just sure of it. So
Yeah. Amy, you are a wealth of information. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope people check out your website, and I hope if they're interested in this breed or have questions about it, they'll come to you because you are really fun to talk to, and I can tell that you love them a lot.
thank you so very much. And yes, I do love this breed and I truly want what's best for it. Have a
Absolutely.
wonderful evening.
You too. Thanks for watching, everybody.